With the League of Villains, now known as the Paranormal Liberation Front, being a major force to be reckoned with as of recent, it's looking like our young hero students are going to need to be springing into action to deal with them sooner rather than later. I've been thinking about how this big battle between these two forces would go down more and more, especially since the arc that we're currently in began. Which student or students will fight which league member or members, how will the students overcome their battles, etc. There's a decent amount of characters that I'm willing to bet I know who their final fight will be against though. Todoroki, for example, is fighting Dabi 1000%. If for some reason anyone watching doesn't know why, it's because Dabi is more than likely Toya Todoroki, Shoto's older brother, who's supposedly dead, quote unquote. He's not dead. There's an absurd amount of evidence to back this up as well, so it seems very likely these two are going to face off in some capacity. Deku versus Shigaraki as well. Deku and Shigaraki were being raised to be successors by the former symbol of peace All Might and the former symbol of evil All For One, respectively. Shigaraki became the staple main antagonist of the show after All For One got arrested. It's a given these two are going to fight. So with all these pretty obvious matchups taking place between one of our major protagonists and one of our major antagonists, it's made me wonder about one character in particular. Who is Bakugo's final battle going to be against? When it comes to the protagonist side of the My Hero Academia universe, Bakugo is arguably the most important character besides Deku himself. Hell, he's even more popular than Deku amongst the fandom in both Japan and the West, coming in first place in the vast majority of the popularity polls, with the exceptions of the first ever popularity poll in both Japan and the West. But figuring out who Bakugo could have his final fight of the series against can be a little hard to think about due to him not having much of a connection or a vendetta against any league member in particular. You'd think he'd have one, but he just doesn't really. Even Uraraka and Toga have something going with them, that intense interaction during the training camp and Toga awakening her quirk while she was transformed as Uraraka. Bakugo though, nothing really. So with that being the case, I figured he'd at least have to be put against someone significant and or powerful enough to actually give Bakugo a run for his money because he's so incredibly strong, at least compared to other students at UA. I have two characters in mind mainly, as well as a third wildcard character. So the first person I have in mind is Rikiya Yotsubashi, also known as Re-Destro. He served as the main antagonist of the My Villain Academia arc attempting to destroy the League of Villains. His incredibly strong quirk called Stress allows him to convert his stress, fear, and anger into raw power. It's very similar to how the Incredible Hulk works, but Re-Destro doesn't lose his main personality while he's full stress powered. According to the Ultra Analysis book, he has a 5 out of 6 in every single stat, including his unique stat, the ability to control others. My guess is the reason that isn't a 6 out of 6 is because he ended up submitting to Shigaraki after he lost in their fight. Considering All Might himself has all 6 out of 6s in his stats, that's incredibly impressive for Re-Destro to be up so high. Bakugo would really need to take his explosions to the next level to take on Re-Destro though, kind of like how Shigaraki's decay awakened during his fight against Re-Destro, or, just during the whole battle against the Liberation Army. His decay evolved in a way where even things he wouldn't directly touch would be destroyed as long as they were kind of near the things he was directly touching. This is just a quick thought off the top of my head, but maybe Bakugo wouldn't need to be sweating from his palms anymore to use explosions, and he'd just be able to use them whenever he wants. I don't know. That way he'd be able to whittle down Re-Destro with less repercussions. Now, I know some of you may be thinking because Re-Destro lost both of his legs in his fight with Shigaraki, that makes him a useless fighter now, but I don't think that's necessarily true. Re-Destro was able to get mechanical replacement legs, so, he can walk around properly now. Plus, Mr. Compress, one of the League's core members now, one of the PLF's generals, is missing one of his arms, but, he's still very effective at doing his job with his quirk, just not as effective as he used to be. So I definitely think Re-Destro can still properly use his stress quirk, just, not as effectively because he can't stress his legs anymore, I guess. For option number 2, we got Daruma Ujiko. He's one of All For One's main cronies left behind for Shigaraki to lead, an incredibly smart individual, arguably the smartest character in the series to date, at least when it comes to scientific and medical knowledge. He's also the one responsible for creating every single Nomu thus far. I'm assuming that includes Kurogiri as well. He more than likely has a quirk of his own, but we don't know what it is yet. Now, I'd say this fight is the least likely to happen out of the ones I have in mind for Bakugo, but I thought I'd, still bring it up. Dr. Ujiko hasn't been shown partaking in a fight since his introduction, plus his stats from the Ultra Analysis book are pretty mediocre with the exception of the intelligence-related stats. So whatever his quirk is, it must not be super useful for hand-to-hand physical combat. If Bakugo and Ujiko were to fight, it'd be less of a fight against Ujiko himself, but either a high-end level Nomu with ridiculous feats or an army of Nomu. You know, kind of like how Principal Nezu fought Kaminari and Ashido type of thing. Once Bakugo overcame the Nomu obstacle, I'm sure he'd be able to take care of Ujiko himself with relative ease. It's just a matter of actually reaching him. I do want to say, if this for whatever reason does end up happening, I hope he ends up fighting a single strong high-level Nomu rather than an army of decently strong ones. And this high-end would have to be ridiculous too. I'm talking like even stronger than the one that almost killed Endeavor. With enough prep, Ujiko is just an insane threat when it comes to his intelligence. You know, dude owns multiple orphanages and clinics throughout Japan, so he can experiment on certain residents depending on if All For One found them worthy enough. He's crazy. Now, last but not least, the wild card possibility would be Bakugo fighting Shigaraki alongside Deku. Now, I know I said Bakugo doesn't really have any personal vendetta against any specific villain, but he kind of does have one against Shigaraki. You know, it was Shigaraki's plan to have him kidnapped during the training camp, which leads to the events of All Might retiring and All For One getting arrested. That whole debacle was a major mental toll on Bakugo that was messing with his head since after the license exam. But I personally don't like the idea of Bakugo being too helpful in the Shigaraki fight. I personally believe Deku needs to do this one solo, considering what his goals are and his similarities in contrast to Shigaraki are, etc. If Bakugo was helping out a tiny bit, I wouldn't mind that much, but I personally wouldn't like it if he ends up being a major factor in Shigaraki's defeat. Another reason this could happen is the new My Hero Academia movie Heroes Rising climax battle is supposed to be vaguely based off of how Horikoshi wants the final battle of the My Hero manga to take place. I know he recently said that he's going to be changing things around now to make the ending of the manga even more hype than Heroes Rising's ending, but it still makes me wonder if the factor of Bakugo and Deku working together as much as they are in the movie is still going to be like that in the manga. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't want them to work together at all. You know, it would definitely be great to, you know, see them working together in hero work. I just don't want Bakugo playing too much of a major role against Shigaraki specifically. I feel like Deku needs to do that one solo to make his character even greater. I think that just about does it for this video, though. I do want to apologize that uploads have been incredibly inconsistent on this channel, but from here on out, I'm going to do my best to make it a high priority to upload on this channel more frequently than I was before. Both My Hero's manga and anime are in great spots right now, so I'm eager to, you know, be making more content related to both of them, so look forward to that, fellas. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.